Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking, and we are now ready to start actually querying on our database. So if you're with me in the last video, I hope you kind of understood what we were doing because we had to write a little bit of extra difficult code, but it's setting us up to now speed through the next couple features. So it might be kind of counterintuitive to some of you who have never really built a larger application before, because a lot of times when you're developing like MVP or a beginner app, we have all of the data in our class, in our view model. So for example, I did a map app on my channel. We had all of our locations in our code base already. And so if we wanted to filter or sort on those, that wouldn't be that hard for us to do. We can write a line of code, say, here's the array, filter, sort, and we're done. But the problem is, what if we had 1 million locations or 1 million users in our database? Well, we would never write code for a device to download every single document, like 1 million user documents, and then have to filter and sort that on the app. That would take a lot of data from the user, and it would be really slow and inefficient to do it that way. So when we start getting to these larger applications with like tons of data, it's actually better to offload some of those processes to the server. So a lot of backend products like Firestore are set up so that you can query on the database extremely fast. And so as we're going to see in this video, we're going to look at filtering, we're going to look at sorting, we're going to also look at filtering and sorting at the same time. And as you guys are going to see, it takes a little bit of extra setup on our side the first time we do it, but we set it up so that the Firestore database knows exactly how to handle these queries so that when any specific device is sending this request, the database knows how to do that filtering in real time, and it does it very, very fast. So we want to offload a lot of these processes to the server whenever we can. And of course, that's exactly what we're going to do in this video.
All right, everybody, we are back and we set up our products collection in the last video, right? So we have this collection of products and now we can run queries on these products. The Firebase documentation has a lot of information on how to read data, perform simple and compound queries, order and limit data. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you guys can read through here. But basically, there's all different ways where we can filter and sort on our database. And so let's see if there's like here we go, query operators. We can say where a field is greater than, less than, equal to, where an array contains a value, and all things like this. And we can sort and filter. And we're going to get into a bunch of that in this video. Firstly, let's go back to our products view. Let's reload this. Let's reload the canvas here. I'm going to start really simply on let's create a toolbar here with content, and we'll add a toolbar item. Placement, let's do navbar leading. Content, I'm going to do a menu, I think. I haven't used menus very often. A menu, and let's just say filter : and we're going to put none for now, and we'll put a content. Press enter on the content, and we're going to basically put in a bunch of buttons for some different filters. So let's create an enum first for all the filters in our app. Let's create an enum maybe in the view model. We'll say here enum filter option. Let's do case high, case price low. And I think that's enough for now. And let's just make these have raw value of string so that we can use that as on our app here. Up here, let's do at published var selected filter of type filter option, and make it optional equal to nil to start. And then this filter is going to set the view model dot filter selected filter dot raw value. And if we don't have one, we'll just say none. All right. And inside this menu, let's do a for each, and let's loop on the let's do products view model dot filter option, and we want to do all of the cases in the filter option. So the filter option is actually going to conform to case iterable, so we can iterate on all of the cases, like loop on them basically. And then we're going to call dot all cases. So basically an array of all of the options. This will be each filter option. And then we're just going to put on in here a button with title, and we're going to say filter option dot raw value, and the action we haven't made yet. All right, these don't conform to identifiable, but they conform to hashable. So we'll add an ID here, /.self. I think we're good now. If I click on the filter, hopefully it works. Price high and price low. All right, and when we click these, obviously we want to do a query and then put that data on the screen. Let's create a func called filter selected. And we'll put in the option of type filter option, and we'll switch on the option. Case, price high, break, case, price low, break. All right. So a couple things we're going to want to do here when we click on a filter. First, we're going to want to actually query on the database and get the items sorted by price high. Then we're going to want to update the UI of our screen, and then we're going to set the filter to price high. All right. So first we need a query to do this. So let's go back to our products manager, and let's create another func, get all products sorted by price. Async throws returns an array of product as well. And we're going to try await. Now, we're going to access the products collection again, but instead of just getting all documents, we want to get all of the documents, but first we want to sort them by price. So here, I'm going to very simply say order. We're going to order them by, and then we can tell it how to order them. And we're going to order it by a field. So this string is a field. So inside each of these products, I have there's price, which is an integer. And so we're going to sort by price. All right. And then inside this order, we also have the ability to tell whether it's ascending or descending. So if I sort by price and it is descending, that would mean highest price first, lowest price last. So sorted by price, and let's say descending. So let's just pass in the value of descending as a bool here, and then pass that in. So after we order them by price, then let's get all those documents. So we're going to use that handy dandy function we made in the last video, get documents as product.self. All right, let's go back to products view, and let's say self.products equals try await product manager shared get all products sorted by price. And it is actually asynchronous, so we should make this async throws as well. And so by price, we want highest first, meaning descending, right? The highest value is first, and then it descends down. So descending is true. And then if that's successful, we're going to set self.selected filter equal to the option that we selected. Or actually, we should do that for all of the cases. So I'm going to put it below our switch statement here. Let's delete this. And then same thing for the price low, except descending will be false. All right. Let's also add back in case none, or let's do no filter. And if we get no filter, case.no filter, we're going to do our original get all products. All right. Finally, coming down here on each button, we're going to call a task, and we're going to say view dot select filter selected with the filter option. It's asynchronous. We're going to try await. I don't care about the error. And let's build and run. Let's see what happens, guys. All right, my screen is loading here. Let's hope this works. Products. All right, and filter is none. And now let's sort it by maybe price high. All right, 1,700, and it looks like our price is going down. So that was pretty easy. We sorted by price. Now let's sort by low, and the opposite is also working. And we can go back to none. Obviously in our app, we want to change how this looks. It doesn't look great, but it's fine for now. I also will note that if we did have all of the products already in our app, we could just filter on the array of products, right? We could have all products and then filtered products array and just do that manually in our view model, and that would work perfectly fine. But that's just not that scalable, right? So if you had 1 million products in your database, you would never download all 1 million products. So you wouldn't be able to just do that filter locally. And so what we're simulating is a larger database now where basically we want to do those queries on the backend, because the backend is literally, it's set up to do these complex queries very, very quickly. And we want to offload as much as we can to the backend most of the time. So that is great. We learned how to sort. And now let's try to maybe filter. We haven't done any filtering yet. So we did sorting. So now we're going to do some filtering. We need something to filter on. I'm going to filter on the category here. So firstly, let's get all of the categories in or actually, let's just do a couple categories: smartphones, laptops, fragrances. That's enough for me. All right, let's create, just like we did with the filters, let's create maybe category option. If this was your actual app, you'd probably want to have like an array of all of the categories in your backend somewhere that you could just download, but we're not going to set that up right now. So let's do smartphones. Let's do laptops and fragrances. And the same thing we did with filter selected, we're going to do with the category selected. Category selected, category option. And we're going to switch on smartphones, laptops, fragrances. And we need a different function now, of course. Let's go into our user manager. All right. Let's create another function here. Get all products, let's say for category. And we'll pass in a category of type string. And this time, instead of order, we are going to say where. So where is kind of like a filter. So we're going to get all products in the so we're going to get all products in this collection where, and we have all of these different options, right? Where a field is equal to, a field is less than. So if we're doing price, we could say less than $1,000 or greater than, $1,000. We could say where an array field contains a value. We can say where it does not equal something. But the most common when you're filtering is equal to. So we're going to say where field, and we're going to look for the field category. That is exactly how it is in our database here. We have a category is equal to the category that we are searching for. And then we're going to get documents. All right, let's go back. Category selected. We also want to do a case no. Let's say no category, and let's add that to our switch here, case no category. All right, self.products. If there's no category, we're going to get all products. If it's smartphones, we're going to get, we will pass in the category, the option.raw value. All right, option.raw value, which is going to be smartphones, laptops, fragrances, just as they actually are. And all three are going to be the same. So I can actually use the same case. So smartphones, laptops, fragrances. And I'm going to delete these two cases here, clean up the code a little bit. And up the top, let's just create a selected category of type category option. Self.selected category equals to the option. And let's create one more toolbar item. And let's call this category. Add in the selected category. And we're going to loop on the category options. Let's call this, we should just call this option so it's more reusable. Option, 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 option. And this time, obviously, we're going to change this to .category selected. And we want to put this on the nav bar trailing on the right side. And let's run this, see if this works. All right, so we got all of our products here. All right, so we got all of our products here, and let's try to filter on a category. So we want all products that are laptops. And bang, just like that. That was so fast. It literally queried on our whole database and returned the data in like a split second. All of our laptops here. We can get all of our smartphones here. We can get all of our fragrances here. This is working perfectly. Now I'm going to change this to keep the fragrances, but change this to price high. And we're going to notice that now we have laptops in here, and that doesn't fit our category, right? So something weird must have just happened now. And it's because our category selected, and when we changed one of these, it basically overwrote the other option. And so they're not really working together, and we're gonna have to fix that in a second. But before we do, I just wanna jump back into the functions that we just already wrote. And again, I don't like that we are hard coding strings here. We can do this and it's obviously working, but I would much rather make sure I'm using the exact coding key from the product. So I'm gonna jump into the product. And right now, I don't have access from that other file to the coding keys in here. There are coding keys that are just in there by default, but we don't have access to them because they're not in our code. So we can actually just add in the coding keys here, and it's going to give us all the default ones. And since we're using the default code encoding and decoding strategy, we don't need to add any extra special here. But I want to get the raw value of these keys, so I'll conform to string here so we can get the raw value. Let's now just jump back here, and instead of typing this in, we're going to call product.codingkeys.rawvalue.price.rawvalue. And then here we're going to do the same thing except for category.rawvalue. To run our app one more time, I think this code looks a little bit safer, a little bit cleaner, and see if it works. Let's just double check that it works. All right. And let's see if filter works. Looks like it still does. Let's see if category works. Looks like it still does. So now we're just writing a little bit safer code. And the last thing to look at though is that these aren't working together. We want them obviously to work together. And so let's do a func called get all products again. And this time let's try to combine these two functions. So we're going to say get all products by price for descending of type bool, and for category of type string. And to make this asynchronous, async throws returns an array of product, open brackets. And basically we're going to do the same thing. So let's take this by price and edit here. And I'm going to put these on separate lines because it makes our code a little bit cleaner. Let's do this up here as well. All right, so here we have the order, here we have where, and now we have order, and we also want to do where. All right, so it's that simple in Firebase. We can chain together multiple operations. So we're going to sort by the price, and then we're going to filter by the category in this function. It does matter order of operations here, right? So you got to think about like, do you want to filter first? Do you want to sort first? For this query, it doesn't really matter, but for some other queries, it will. Generally, you should try to, I think, optimize to condense the data as much as possible in like the first order of operations, because then the second one is going to run on a much smaller data set, which will probably be a little bit faster. So if we filtered actually before we sorted by order, that's probably a little bit faster than first sorting all of the products by order and then filtering. We're gonna get the same results. And honestly, with 30 documents in our database, it doesn't really matter. All right, I'm gonna go back to our products view. And I actually wanna start simplifying some of our code here. So what we're gonna do is actually create, so we have 3 functions now that all work, right? If I only have a price selected, we're gonna do this. If I only have category selected, I'm gonna do this. If I have both selected, I'm going to do this. If I have none selected, I'm going to do this. So let's create one more function to kind of wrap all that together. Well, I'm going to say get all products by price. So let's make this one private. In this one, we're going to have an optional descending and an optional category. And then here, let's switch on. Here, let's figure out which of these functions to use. We're going to say if let descending and let category. So if we have both, let's return, try, await, get all products by price. This one here with descending and category. Let's just be more explicit here by price and category so that we know which function we're calling. All right, so if we have a descending value and if we have a category, we're going to do both. Then we'll say else if let descending. So if we only have a descending value, then let's return, try, await, get all by price, descending is descending. Say else if let category. If we only have a category, we'll return, try, await, get all by category. And the default, we're just going to return, try, await, get all products. All right, now I can make this function private. I can make this function private. I can even make this function private. And this is the one that we're going to call from our app, get all products. And I will just delete this. So now it's a generic get all products, and we can possibly pass, let's say, price descending. That's just a little bit more clear. And then for category, it sounds a little more readable. And this will just be descending and category. All right, let's try this. Let's try this out now. Let's go back to our products view. Let's see here. We're going to comment all of this out. And we're going to say self.products equals try await products manager shared get all products. And let's see here. So we now have the category option that we're selecting and the price option, which would be our selected filter up here, which we'll just, and we need to be able to convert, I guess, price descending into a Boolean. So here we have true or false. So if it's price high, it's true. If it's price low, it is false. Inside our filter option, let's just create a little variable called price descending of type bool. Let's make it optional. All right, let's switch on the cases on self. Case.noFilter, let's return nil. Case.price high, let's return true like we have here. And case.price low, we're going to return false. All right. So now down here in our function, we're going to call selected filter dot price descending value, which is an optional Boolean, which we can then send right into here. And for category, we're going to say the option dot raw value. Awesome. And I think we can actually make this even easier for us. In this function, we can let's set the value of the selected category first. And then let's create another down here called get products. And here we're going to open the brackets and we're going to take this and just put it here. And so we're going to do selected filter price descending. And we're going to do selected category dot raw value. All right. And now we can just call this self get products or get products, not all products. And then same thing we're going to do up here. We're going to set the filter option first. Let's comment this out and then call get products. Up here as well. Now we don't even need this. And comment this out. We're just going to call view model. We are just going to let's create a task in our products here. And let's say try, and let's set these equal to those. And let's set our products here. And then down in our screen on appear, let's just call view model.get products. Let's run this function, see if it works. Delete that. Let's build and run our app now. We're starting to simplify. Our code is actually getting more complex, and yet we are simplifying the code, which is kind of awesome. All right. And it looks like it works. Perfect. All right. And so now let's filter. We're going to filter by price high, and it works. And now let's add in category, and we're going to category by laptops. And it did not work, right? So I can see down here, I got a printout. It told us, listen for query at products failed. This query requires an index, and then we can create it here. So what happened was in our code here, when we filtered for all products, we had our original function here, just get all products. And then when we filtered by price, we just ran this one query for get for order. The problem was when we added price and category, we now had added two of these, right? So we're doing two different operations on the database, and the database by default does not support this. So we need to add, as it's telling us here, a specific query. We need to add in an index so that we can then do this. Now, this is not a bad thing. What is happening is basically this takes more time to obviously filter and sort versus just a single operation. And so what Firebase wants us to do is basically create indexes before they're live in our application so that it can optimize how to run this query really, really fast. So that when we're actually doing it, it already knows how it's going to need to filter and order this. It's not going to do it basically like on demand. It's going to have something behind the scenes, maybe some sort of hash table that knows how to run this operation extremely fast. And that's part of the reason why Firebase is so scalable, because we can literally have 1 million documents, and then we can add in a ton of different filters and sorting, and it's going to be still super fast, even with a whole bunch. So if we wanted to expand this eventually in the future, we could add a bunch of where fields, we can add a bunch of orders, we can change the operation so that there's orders and fields and do kind of whatever we want, which is awesome. But for right now, let's just get this to work. And so all we need to do is go to this URL. They're giving it to us right here, super convenient. And go to Firebase. We're going to go to the URL. This is our Firestore console, and it's just going to ask us, do we want to create an index? And you'll notice that this index is specific for category being ascending and price being descending. If we want to do another one where we have category descending and price ascending, we need to create a separate index. So we're going to want to do that in a second as well. So this is, let's see, category ascending, price descending. I'm going to run my app one more time. And that was price descending. This time, let's do price ascending. So I think lowest first. And same thing, we're just going to do filter price low category, and we're going to get another error here. Let's copy this. Let's go to our console, paste it in. And this time we should have a price ascending create index. Awesome. These indexes take a couple minutes to build. We don't have that much data in our database, so it might take maybe like 2-3 minutes. Sometimes it takes like 10 minutes. That's all right. It's worth it in the long run because once these are created, we can then query on this extremely fast, as you guys are going to see in a second. We can add in more indexes. It is important to note that there is a limit on the number of indexes we can have. I think it's like 200, I want to say. We should probably look it up. Compound queries, limit, query limitations, manage indexes, Firestore index limit. Looks like, yeah, a database can have a maximum of 200 composite indexes. So we have now 2. I've never hit the limit. I doubt you will as well. But here's our 2. And we can always, if we're not using one, we can always delete it if we need to make room for more. All right, I'm going to give this a second, and then I will continue once this finishes building. And while we're waiting, we can see here that the single field indexes, ascending, descending, and arrays are already enabled. That's why we were able to do the sort by price before without creating a composite index, because it became by default. Now we're having these composites created. Let's look at our billable metrics real quick while we're waiting for those to set in. We can see our reads, our writes, our deletes. You get billed for reads, writes, and deletes. So here we can see the free lines right here, this middle line. Or so the reads is actually up here, writes and deletes. We're not even close to hitting these. And even if we did have to pay, it is so cheap. All right, and it looks like our indexes are finally created. We have the enabled status here. I'm going to go back to my app real quick, and let's just try to do it. And look at that, it works. Price low, fragrances only. That's gorgeous. Let's do it to smartphones, price low. Let's switch to price high. Look how fast that query is, right? We're literally filtering on all of those documents. Let's go back to default. We should probably fix that. No category. Let's fix that real quick. So if there's no category, oh, I know what we need to do. All right, so back in our option here, the no category has a raw value of no category, right? The string. So we're actually filtering for no category. So just like we did with the price descending, let's just say var category value of type string, maybe category key, it's maybe better. And let's switch on, and let's just do here, we'll say if self is equal to no category, let's make this optional. We will return nil, and then else, for everything else, we're going to return self.raw value. So here we're going to say select the category dot category key. Build and run that real quick. And I think that is it for this video. We created a composite index. We learned how to filter and how to sort on the database. And now we can do both of those at the same time extremely fast. It is literally so fast to sort and filter in a split second and then update the UI. Like this is insanely fast, guys. I hope you guys recognize that. Every time we click this, we're literally fetching from the server, decoding that data, popping it on the screen. This is very efficient. Let's go back to our default starting state. It looks like it works again. Awesome. All right, we still got a lot to do. In the next video, we're going to look at pagination and working with larger data sets. So right now we only got 30 products, and that's okay to get them all. But once you have like 1 million products, we want to limit how many products are returned in our queries. We're going to do that though in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, I'm Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking, and I'll see you in the next video.